Hi everyone! Today we're going to be discussing a heavy rain flash flood event over the Fort Walton Beach, Florida area from this past August. And the objective of this case study, although a flood advisory was in effect, we wanted to determine if a flash flood warning would have been better suited for the area based on the environment, observations, and reports that we received. So just to give an overview of the synoptic and mesoscale environment, there was upper ridging over the south-central United States into the Arklatex and over much of the deep south, with an upper shortwave trough cut off low over the Virginias, into Pennsylvania, and down into Tennessee and over into the Carolinas. The stirring flow was relatively weak aloft, and there was some divergence in the afternoon in the upper levels. There was northwest flow aloft, along with surface convergence near the Fort Walton Beach area, which could be seen by a surface boundary, and I'll show this in a surface chart later. It was very moist at the surface and clear up to 700 millibars. Precipitable water values were greater than 2 inches, and even up near 2.4 inches over the panhandle. There was actually an area of max moisture flux convergence over the Florida panhandle just before the storms formed, too. There was ample instability, and the instability was greater south of the boundary versus the north of the boundary, but overall, it was still sufficient. Some of the values here, SB Cape 2,500 to 3,000 joules per kilogram north of the boundary, with 4,000 joules per kilogram south, and that was for surface-based Cape. For mixed layer Cape, got 500 to 1,000 north and 1,500 to 2,000 south. And all of this with minimal shear, and then we were also outlooked in a marginal for excessive rain from WPC. And of course, here's that marginal outlook I just mentioned from WPC. And then focusing on the western Florida panhandle here, SBC just had us in a general thunder outlook. For our upper level charts, starting at 300 millibars, we have north to northwest flow at about 10 to 15 knots near the coast, with that area of divergence that I talked about south of Fort Walton Beach. At 500 millibars, you can see north to northwest flow between 5 to 10 knots near the coast, and through the afternoon here, it turned actually more westerly. For 700 millibars, you can see that moisture starting to present itself, along with northwest flow at about 10 to 15 knots. And 850 millibars, shows that moisture present still, with a little bit less in terms of speed for the flow at 10 knots there. And rinse and repeat with 925 millibars with the moisture present, and northwest to westerly flow at around 10 knots. And this is that deep moisture flux convergence that I was talking about earlier. You can see this area of max convergence at 16Z. And moving forward in time to 17Z, it's not quite as prominent, but there is a little bit of a signature there, and this all happened right before the storms formed, too. And this just shows the precipitable water values between 2.3 to 2.4 over the focus area here. At the surface, we had surface convergence with relatively light northwest flow here, coming into contact with our 15 to 20 knot southwest flow. And we drew in a little surface boundary here for reference. What's interesting to note, too, is the westerly flow at 500 millibars by early in the afternoon. This aligned with this surface boundary here. And this kept the low-level focus for ascent maximized over this same area for several hours. And now for our conceptual model for this case. And, we have this surface boundary that we just talked about with our surface convergence with our surface winds. And our area of surface convergence and our storm initiating here. And this storm will move to the southeast due to the deep layer flow from the northwest. And of course, we have our warm, unstable air north of the front, the surface front here, and actually more unstable air south of the front. And moving forward in time, as this first storm in purple here moves to the southeast, the outflow from it, the outflow depicted in this light blue color here, it moves in all directions, right? And per the modified Corfiti-Vector method, since the propagation vector, which is in pink, is 10 knots from the southeast, it opposes the 10-knot northwest advection vector in red here. And also the preferred new storm growth is on the northern flank of the outflow. This means that new storm cells will initiate and backbuild towards the same beginning location and then train southeast over the same areas, and this enhances the flood threat. So what happened? So right now we're going to look at the hydro products that we'll see in AWIPS. And just to start off here, the heaviest rain fell between 17 and 1830 Z. So over the course of about 1.5 hours. And then radar showed slow-moving, persistent backbuilding storms through the afternoon. And I'll show a loop here in a second. In terms of flash flood guidance, 1 hour flash flood guidance was 4.45 inches around Fort Walton Beach, with 3 hour at 5.26 and 6 hour at 6.3 inches. Now, one thing to note here is that flash flood guidance is usually fairly high over the panhandle due to the perceived sandy soils. And we know this isn't necessarily always true because you got urban centers over that same location like Pensacola and Fort Walton Beach. In terms of MRMS, it showed between 3 to 4 inches of rain fell during this time. Another thing to point out too is the potential for some smoothing and averaging with MRMS data, which could explain why it was a little bit underdone compared to some of the other data, which I'll talk about a little bit later too. The flash crest unit streamflow was very high. It gradually lit up through the event, and even a couple pixels were over 1,000 CFS, which equates to that blue color you see in AWIPS. The Wonder map showed localized 4 to 5 inches over the Fort Walton Beach area, with areas kind of to the west between 1 to 3 inches. Now overall, again, we did have a flood advisory, and we issued that at 1:14 p.m., and we messaged it on social media, and then we actually updated it about an hour and a half or so later and also messaged that through social media. Now we're just looking at what you would see on AWIPS here. So this is looking at flash flood guidance from 1, 3, and 6 hour respectively, showing between 4 to 6 inches or so was the flash flood guidance over the Fort Walton Beach area. Now here's the radar loop showing how storms initiated over Fort Walton Beach and then moved southeast, and then you can see the back building as storms initiated over about the same starting point, and again moved southeast and just trained over the same area. Another thing I want to point out is KDP down here. You can see some like yellow and orange colors, and that's indicative of some heavy rain rates. Now I know this animation is a little bit quick, but I wanted to show the precipitation rate, and they were about 3 to 5 inches per hour, and even clear up to 6 inches in some spots between 17 and 1830 Z. And these higher precip rates can be seen by the warmer colors, the reds, and even into the pinks. And I'll let this loop one more time so you can see that there. There we go. Now I know not everybody uses FFmpeg, but it's just another tool in our toolbox to use in addition to things like Flash and MRMS. All I really want to point out here is that FFmpeg was showing the Fort Walton Beach lighting up as QPE increased during the afternoon there. So MRMS, and this is for all radars, returned between 3 to 4 inches over Fort Walton Beach from 17 to 20 Z. Now this is a loop of the crest unit stream flow from Flash, and the blue color that I mentioned earlier you can see occurred between 18 and 19Z. One interesting note there is that that pixel is actually really close to where we got reports of flash flooding. So Flash crest unit stream flow really nailed it with this case. And this is just looking at Flash, the data suite on AWIPS here, with crest unit stream flow in the top left, and you can actually see our flood advisory here too. Then those pixels of 1000 CFS. With soil moisture to the right here, you can see it increasing by 1830. And then the bottom two panels are QPE to FFG ratio, 1 and 3 hour respectively. Just wanted to show the flood advisory that we issued, indicating between 1 to 3 inches of rain had fallen with an additional 1 to 2 expected. And then our update, about an hour and a half or so later, between 2 and 5 inches of rain that had fallen, with additional 1 to 2 expected. So how much rain did fall? So if we just look at here, we can see about 4 to 5 inches or so along this northern and eastern area. And then of course, like I said before, we have about 1 to 3 inches over kind of this western area here. And really based on these numbers, you know, MRMS was only saying 3 to 4, so it was a bit underdone. And Flash was picking up on what was going on a lot better. You see that blue pixel was about right here, so I think, and it was really close to our reports of flash flooding. Another point I wanted to make here too is this bridge coming down into Fort Walton Beach, along with the concrete and poor drainage areas with really small or few drains, street drains, really exacerbated the flooding in this area. And I'll show some pictures of that later. So here's the initial report we got on Twitter, some pictures of street flooding. And this was forwarded to us by Spinks. And we tried to get a gauge on what the floodwaters were doing at this point. Were they receding? Was it, you know, was the situation getting worse? You're trying to determine whether or not to upgrade from the advisory, or if the advisory was, you know, doing its job, if that was okay to keep. The thing though was, it was kind of confusing as to what the status was from some of these responses here. And really, as we were looking at this and kind of like street view of the, you know, the poor drainage areas and stuff, we thought it was just more localized at the time. Plus we hadn't really gotten any more reports or phone calls or anything at this point. And here's another tweet just kind of showing how localized the rainfall was, flooding was. This person only got 3.7 inches in one portion of Fort Walton Beach. However, there was a swift water rescue of 3 adults and 1 child by Fort Walton Beach police. And this is a screen capture of a video. If you go to this link here, you can watch this vehicle, the police vehicle, wading in this water to these vehicles. And you can see the water there. It's not quite over the wheel hub here, but it's pretty close. So this was pretty severe flooding in this area. And here's some pictures of around the area where the initial reports were from Twitter, those pictures that we got. If there are drains, they're pretty small. And some areas didn't have any drains at all. So this combined with that bridge coming down into the Fort Walton Beach community likely exacerbated flooding issues in this particular area. So overall, when trying to figure out if the waters had receded at all in response to that initial report I was talking about from Twitter, it was kind of confusing for forecasters, and it made it hard to determine if flooding was still an issue. Do we need to upgrade the advisory? Is that, you know, still sufficient? Although, in retrospect, forecasters could have called a warning point if one existed in Fort Walton Beach to better understand the situation. And actually, they would have found out about the severe flooding and water rescues as seen by the video from Fort Walton Police. The flooding was exacerbated by poor drainage. The bridge leading down into Fort Walton Beach, along with, concrete, few drains or none at all. And then overall, should we have issued a flash flood warning? One thing to note here, in terms of mesoscale, it's really important to keep an eye on these features for backbuilding and training storms. These things are not always necessarily on a really large scale, but can be on a really small scale, like in this case. And this shows why mesoanalysis is extremely important. It's not just for severe weather. This is good for flooding and any sort of weather, really. Again, the flooding was very localized, and at the time it was fairly borderline. A lot of the data we were looking at, FFmpeg, MRMS, water map at the time, precip values, were below flash flood guidance. We only had that one report via Twitter. So we determined the road to have road and streets to have poor drainage, and it was most likely not widespread, which is why we decided to keep the flood advisory. But if we did issue a flash flood warning, likely it would not have given much notice or lead time to the community, and also the warning polygon would have been really small. But in terms of localized DSS and our service to our partners, to the community, does this really matter? Overall, at least we had a flood advisory in effect, and we had that in effect about 2.25 hours before the LSR severe flooding report, and we had messaged it via Twitter and social media. So in terms of a best practice for this, for the Fort Walton Beach area and really any urban city near the coast, roads may be prone to flooding due to poor drainage. Pay attention to the flash crest unit stream flow values. In this particular case, at the time it seemed, the data seemed too high, but in actuality, it gauged the situation a lot more accurately than the other data sets. So using this knowledge and the flash data suite could help with potentially issuing more anticipatory flash flood warnings in urban areas for the future.